age of change, where innovation is key to staying ahead of the curve. Today, we see the coming of 3D printing technology, which looks set to revolutionize the Chinese manufacturing supply chain. The big question that we are faced today is, how should a traditional Chinese manufacturer look to harness this immense opportunity that is presented right before them, brought about by the coming of 3D technology? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maybelline, and with me are my team members from Orion Consulting, Douglas, Hui Han, as well as Fabian. With our A-Square strategy today, we promise that our client will be able to seize the impending opportunity that 3D printing technology is able to provide. With that, this is an overview of our presentation today. Our objective here is to leverage on the opportunity that is brought about by the approaching 3D printing boom. And in order for us to meet this objective, there are three key issues that we need to overcome. First of all, weighing both the benefits as well as costs of 3D printing. Should the client even go into 3D printing in the first place? Secondly, what sort of business model should the client adopt in the short run in order to react to this opportunity? And lastly, over the long term, how should the client seek to remain relevant in the industry? With these key issues in mind, we present to you our A-Square strategy, adapt as well as adopt. Under the adopt strategy, we seek to introduce a new business model whereby both the core traditional manufacturing process will coexist with the new 3D printing process for our client. Secondly, under the second arm of our strategy, adapt, we seek to adapt our business model according to changing market conditions, according to how different ways in which the 3D technology is able to evolve. And through our strategy, we promise a cost savings of about 40 to 50% for our client. Now let us take a more macro view at the industry on the whole, and we see that this 3D printing technology looks set to revolutionize the industry, design process, to the production process, all the way to distribution as well as sales of the product. Not only does it greatly reduce the production process, but it also introduces a great deal of cost savings when it comes to transport as well as inventory, and also it introduces greater flexibility in the production process, whereby consumers are able to offer their inputs in terms of product creation, and also manufacturers are able to fully react to changing consumer demands and trends. Looking specifically at the production process, we see that 3D printing is able to offer our clients a simplification in the manufacturing process, and this means two things. First of all, a reduction in production process, and also secondly, a reduction in cost and wastage. This will allow us to react to our changing consumer trends that our clients is able to provide them with. And the implication here is therefore that our clients should seek to adopt 3D technology, keeping in mind the limitations that the 3D printing technology currently has. What are the limitations that 3D printing technology has right now? First of all, product quality definitely remains a concern. And also, secondly, the manufacturing process is rather limited in the sense that the process can only manufacture products of a certain size, and also there are strict material restrictions as well. And secondly, the manufacturing speed of 3D printing technology remains relatively slower than its core manufacturing process right now. And also there are high printing costs involved, with 3D printing technology costing 50 to 100 times that of the traditional manufacturing process. And with these limitations in mind, we propose that our client should seek to do two things. First of all, looking at the fact that technology is likely to evolve in a favorable manner in the future, we propose that our clients seek to integrate the 3D printing process together with their core business in traditional manufacturing. And at the same time, in light of the high printing costs involved, it should seek to reduce this cost by operating through economies of scale and reaching out to more businesses. With regards to the topic on the expiration of patents, we see that there are two impacts here. First of all, the expiration of patents is likely to greatly reduce prices of 3D printing technology, and this would result in a greater adoption of 3D printing technology among various manufacturers in the Chinese manufacturing industry, and this leads to greater competition in the market. And secondly, given the fact that most of these patents that are expiring are centered on 3D printers, it also brings about immense opportunity for our clients to perhaps explore the option of manufacturing 3D printers as well. And this is one option that we'd like you to keep in mind. The tricky part about 3D printing technology is the fact that we're not too sure as to how technology will evolve in the future. And this is why we propose our two-pronged strategy, adopt as well as adapt. We'll be adapting our business strategies according to how the 3D printing technology will evolve in the future. So according to scenario 1, if 3D technology fails to develop in a favorable manner as we hope, the client will adopt a wait-and-see approach with both the manufacturing, with both its core manufacturing process and 3D printing process coexisting at the same time. And secondly, should the technology evolve in such a way that MNCs are able to print their own products and bring the whole manufacturing process in-house, we'll look to reach out to our SMEs partners. And lastly, should 3D process evolve in such a way that it becomes available for all, then our clients should perhaps diversify to look at other revenue streams and perhaps that of 3D printing. And with that, I'll pass time on to my team member, Hui Han, who will be telling you more about our first recommendation.
Thank you, Baby. So, our recommendation firstly is to look at how we can adopt 3D printing in the manufacturing process. And with that, I've used the example of a water bottle. So as you can see, there are 4 main components. Firstly, the bottom, the container, the cap here, as well as the lid, and the metal handle. So we did a rough sketch about how the current manufacturing process might look like in the factory. So the container, the cap, and the lid are all made of plastic. And obviously because of the different sizes, the different shapes, so they will have their own process, their own machines to make the different parts. And also we use metal to make the handle. And after which all the different components will go through the assembly line to be assembled into the final product. So with that, we look at how we can integrate 3D printing into the process. And because there's a common material, plastic, for the container, the cap, and the lid, so we thought we might use 3D printing to print the container, as well as to have another 3D printer to print the cap and the lid together because it's attached together. And with that, we will have 3 components instead of 4 to assemble. So what this means is that we can have the same equipment, but we have multiple products. So we can have a 3D printer that takes in plastic and come up with 2 different kind of components at the end of the day, depending on where your bottleneck might be. So for instance, if the container takes less time to produce and the cap and lid takes longer time to produce, you might want to switch the other machine to produce cap and lid after a short time to break through the bottleneck. Also, we see how 3D printing can help us to merge the processes and merge the manufacturing of odd-shaped objects such as the cap and the lid together. Also, another benefit of 3D printing is that it allows us to have additional capacity to meet seasonal demands. So, for instance, if traditional manufacturing allows us to produce 800 bottles a day, if we have additional 3D printers in the factory, we can produce an additional 500 bottles a day. So, the total production capacity actually increases. We have also talked about some of the operational concerns and how this might affect the factory in general. So for labor, we will shift from having many unskilled workers who do all the manual labor to have lesser workers but skilled who can process the 3D printers. Also for the facilities and the machines, we will see a shift from having very fixed and specialized machines which can only produce one component at a time to having a multi-purpose general kind of machines in the factory. And also for the process, we see that because of how we can combine certain components together, there will be less components to assemble, and this decreases assembly time. And also there will be less quality issues because of the reduce in manual inputs. So with that, we have 3 benefits to be reaped. Firstly, a decrease in labor costs. Second, an increase in flexibility, and also decrease in production time. So this is very operational centered. Also, as a whole, we see how having 3D printing in your traditional manufacturing process can benefit the manufacturers in 4 ways. Firstly, it simplifies the process. It reduces the number of steps that you need to take to produce a finished product. And second, it reduces the waste, as all the parts that are produced at the end of the day that are not going into your final product can be put back into the 3D printing as a new kind of input. Thirdly, this is more strategic kind of benefit, is that it eases your future transition into more high-tech 3D printing when it becomes more prevalent and becomes cheaper to use in the future. Lastly, we also see how it can increase ad hoc production capacity if the need arises. So with that, I'll pass the time on to Fabian, who will talk about the next strategy, adapt.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hui Han just shared with us how 3D printing can be a component of the current traditional manufacturing chain. But I believe that it's important to understand that traditional manufacturing today, as status quo, has still a very important role to play in the business economy. Looking at this graphic, we see that perhaps through the advent of 3D printing, companies with huge capitals, for example MNCs, as shown in the case through local motors as well as Airbus, have begun to adopt 3D printing as a means to create the components of their products. So we see that perhaps in the long run, these companies may start to shun the traditional Chinese manufacturer because building in-house capabilities becomes more cost-effective. Another consideration would be companies that perhaps prefer to have customized products, so therefore 3D printing is a source of production for themselves in terms of producing customized products for customized consumers. But then again, if they were looking at customized products, then perhaps the traditional manufacturing model would not be something that they would consider in the first place. Therefore, looking at this, there is a need for the traditional Chinese manufacturer, in order to defend their company business model, to look at companies that need scale and volume. We see that it is therefore unfeasible to discard the traditional manufacturing model today. Traditional manufacturing allows us to produce at scale, produce at low cost, as well as a quality assurance that 3D printing is not able to assure. However, on the flip side, we look at that there is heavy capital investment currently invested in the traditional model and that there is high labor costs, things that we cannot discard just as and when we like to do so. Therefore, we believe that in order to defend the current model of business, a new target of consumers must be approached. The traditional Chinese manufacturers should look towards small-medium enterprises, companies which do not have high capital but actually need to produce at scale. These would be referred to perhaps retail industries such as hardware components or basic necessities in the household that will be still looking to the traditional manufacturing manner as compared to 3D printing, which is high cost and low in terms of scale. If we envision the long-term horizon, this is what we see. For the traditional manufacturer, one of the most possible situations would be that they die and they get phased out, and this is definitely not what we want for our client. Instead, we would recommend for them to defend their position by looking at new customer segments in terms of the SMEs as a key part of their new client base. This would be a niche market that the traditional manufacturer today will be able to provide. The third scenario that we envision could perhaps to be the embracing of the 3D printing model. But of course, with the differences and the easily changing environment of technology today, it is not something that we can put a finger on and say, this is what it's going to be. Definitely, even though the trend currently shows that mass adoption could perhaps be a way things will be going towards, and that according to our adopt strategy, being able and ready to shift as and when the need arises is important. We therefore see that even in defending the current business model, there are benefits for the traditional Chinese manufacturer. We managed to maintain our existing capital infrastructure and investments because we understand that these machinery has a shelf life or life cycle that may depreciate in the long run, and that at that point in time, perhaps it will be a good point to consider whether 3D printing is the way to go. But as it is today, we want to maintain the capital infrastructure and not want to discard it just like this. Secondly, it allows us to remain profitable. And thirdly, to maintain key business relationships, not only with suppliers, with the distributors and our clients at the bottom end of the supply chain as well. Now, I will just hand the time over to Douglas, who will share with us how we quantify the market and financial implications of our strategies.
So we've heard a lot about the recommendations in mind about how to implement 3D printing into a traditional Chinese manufacturer. But what does this actually mean from both a macro and industry perspective? So you can see here, by historical figures, currently we've estimated the global size of the 3D printing market to be 1.2 billion, with the Chinese market making 36 million. We've estimated the growth as given by the exhibits to reach 4.7 billion by 2018, while the Chinese markets will still remain at 109 million. So overall, this is the 4-year horizon in a near strategic direction future. We do not perceive that 3D printing market will overtake the market, but it's definitely growing at a very considerable rate. As mentioned by our CAGRs, the Chinese CAGRs will be 31.6%, but the 4-year CAGR for global will be 41.3%. overall, what does this mean from a much longer term perspective? So overall, looking 10 years into the future, based on historical values from 2014, 2024, the market 3D printing is estimated to grow to 14.2 billion. The Chinese market will be 3.63 billion. Although these figures may seem outstandingly large as compared to 2018 estimates, their CAGRs still remain below our 2014 and near-term growth into 2018. A key interesting trend that we've also identified in the historical values is that the price of 3D printers are decreasing, yet the quantity is moving upwards. So plainly, the market is mainly growing by the availability of 3D printers. As we see technologies improving, cost of producing them also decreases. So looking at our traditional Chinese manufacturer, what can this potentially mean in the long term? For our financial projections, the main benefit is truly cost reductions and thereby realizing profits. We forecast, as given by the exhibits as well, 40 to 55% of manufacturing costs can be saved. Although initial cash flows will be dampened by an increase in capex, with enough study, enough adaptation, enough technology developments, we can see reductions in labor costs, reductions in material wastages, and as mentioned by previous teammate, also reduction in transport costs. To show the overall tangibility of our plans, we also modeled a 5-year strategic implementation timeline for our client. For our adopt strategy, we shall start immediately, looking to understand the 3D technology today, what we can learn from it, before identifying the products as well as the application of it in our current businesses, integrating into our business value chain perhaps by the next 4 years. For the adapt strategy, we will likewise, as mentioned by Fabian, continue with traditional manufacturing. However, we will also identify certain niche markets that may benefit from our additional segment of 3D manufacturing capabilities. So overall, we've also tracked our KPI of a 3D printing segment, and we estimate that by 2019, 5% of total production segment will be derived from 3D printers. So overall, Orion Consulting today is proud to share with you our A-square strategy. We've identified our key issues should our client go into 3D printing. We talked about the business model that should be adapted in the short term, and Fabian has also talked about the long term. And overall, we've looked at the adopt and the adapt strategy, and with the overall financial objective of hitting our cost reductions by 40-55%. And with this in mind, Orion Consulting is confident that our traditional Chinese manufacturer will not only be able to remain relevant today, but also in the long term. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and we kindly open the floor for any questions. Thank you.
I'll start off then. I'd like to know what types of Chinese manufacturing businesses lend themselves most to adopting of 3D printing. Because presumably not all manufacturing businesses will be capable of embracing that technology. Can you give us some idea what business are best suited for going into this area?
Well,
So for looking at the businesses, the kind of businesses that are more likely to adopt, we think that it will be those with multiple components who wants to look at simplifying the processes, and also they have the capacity and skill to have their own factories to be able to have a say as to the kind of processes they want to go in. So for example, someone who produces appliances, like refrigerators, ovens, and things like that. So that would be one kind of industry that we are looking into.
So, as a supplementary question, so what industries are not suitable, in your opinion, to adopt this at the moment?
Definitely the small scale, handmade kind of industries whereby they run on a very small scale, and like a lot of manual labor customization are required. So this will not be suitable for 3D printing in their businesses.
Okay.
And what will be the major risk in using the 3D printing technology? The major risk.
The major risk involved would definitely be the huge capital outlay that is required, because we do know that investing in the 3D technology will require us to buy 3D printers and also change a bit of our production process that we are traditionally used to. We will also need to hire additional staff, renew training, and these are the different cost implications that is involved. That is involved in this strategy here. However, how we seek to overcome this is really trying to reach out to as many businesses as possible, targeting the small, medium enterprises that are prevalent in the Chinese economy. As we we know it today, and in order for us to reduce our costs by operating through economies of scale.
Further question for me. You mentioned on here dramatic cost savings of up to 50%. Can you tell us whether those savings are going to come from in our process? It wasn't quite clear. Could you just go over that again?
Sure. As was identified, the key example was drawn out from the low volume market, perhaps projecting the future. Cost savings will be derived mainly from the variable cost component. Looking at the overall supply chain, so transport costs is what can be reduced, labor costs, and a reduction of material wastage, manufacturing wastage. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
And follow up on Peter's question. Okay, cost saving will be huge on one side. On the other side, we need huge investment. So when do you think the payback period will be happening in year 1, year 2, year 3, or breakdown period?
Currently, we are assessing the pricing, how it's been declining very rapidly over the past 4 years.
Okay.
We looked into the future with a very considerable estimate of $1,000 perhaps for a unit cost. Perhaps with this in mind, depending on the scalability, the categorization of our manufacturer, payback period can be anywhere between 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
It's a very short payback period.
That's a very good business case, I would say.
Very good.
Okay.
Any questions?
No further questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.